Hello everybody, I'm Aaron Cohn from The Globe. Thanks for tuning in to today's show for Thursday, April 23rd. We start with today's Geo Quiz. We're looking for a German port, but don't look in Europe. This port was the East German capital of Africa and one of the biggest ports along the eastern coast of Africa. Mombasa and Dar es Salaam are close, but this town is much smaller. It was the end of a 1,200-kilometer route, one of three on the east coast of Africa, to support the Arab-run slave trade. Can you name this German port? The answer's coming up right after we turn to South Africa, where yesterday's elections are now over. It would appear that the ANC, South Africa's dominant party, has remained the leader in yesterday's elections. Some are hailing this a victory, and yet many watch in fear as Jacob Zuma, the ANC's president, settles in. Yesterday's elections are among the most important since the nation's first fully democratic ballots were cast in 1994, yielding Nelson Mandela as South Africa's first majority-selected leader. For 15 years, the African National Congress has not been challenged. It has set up welfare, created public housing, increased education opportunities, expanded infrastructure to support running water and electricity, and finally provides antiretrovirals to HIV and AIDS victims. While a new black middle class has emerged, the vast majority of South Africans are poor and hardly educated. Millions of whites have left to find work abroad, unemployment is endemic, the middle class is starting to disappear again. Violence is practically an accepted fact. Walls, security systems, barred windows have all become a ubiquitous part of life. Murders are still high. In 2008, xenophobic violence took siege across the country, primarily targeted at Zimbabwean immigrants whose better education was allowing them to take jobs from South Africans. Jacob Zuma, whose own past is aligned to these troubles, is considered the people's leader. He never went to school, and under the first few years of Mandela's presidency, he was in a local government, where he too found it difficult to support his family and 3 wives. But before giving up on the government paycheck, Shaber Sheikh, an investor and friend who had worked in the underground during the apartheid revolution, decided to help out Zuma, who he thought could be a powerful leader. Zuma had been an inmate with Nelson Mandela on Robben Island for 10 years and was once the ANC secret intelligence leader. Sheikh bankrolled Zuma for 10 years, getting government contracts in turn. Zuma has been charged with some 750 cases of corruption over the last years. The ANC, which threw out former President Thabo Mbeki last year, is considered corrupt and disillusioned. During this global economic crisis, the South African economy, a member of the G20, has watched its sectors go into freefall and seen its currency devalue. But in a nation where the government is considered a one-party organization, many are optimistic about Zuma. He hasn't actually proposed many changes, vowing to continue the same policies on Zimbabwe and the genocide in Sudan, as well as on domestic issues. When addressing whites, the former revolutionary can compose himself and rally support in fancy meeting venues and hotels, but at black rallies, he is a changed man. Sporting t-shirts and singing Mshimiwami, which means bring me my machine gun, he fills entire sports stadiums, a sight new to American politics, but tradition in South Africa. Jacob Zuma's indictments have been the biggest controversy in the news for some time now. In a rape case, he admitted to not using protection and instead taking a shower after to protect himself from HIV. While much of this concerns the public, many people take Zuma's policies with a grain of salt. One video on YouTube, a fake ad for a condom manufacturer, goes,
"Hello, my name is Jacob. People think I don't use the condom, but as a matter of fact, I do. I'm just so super quick. Shower time. Run the condoms!"
But earlier this month, the charges against Zuma of accepting over $500,000 from Sheikh were dropped. Mysteriously, the courts alleged that the prosecution was using the timing of the announcements of the court case to affect Zuma's political career. All charges were dropped. For the first time, the role of the ANC has been called into question. When blacks first took over the government, they didn't anticipate disagreement between themselves, but finally, the ANC has split. Last fall, when the party disposed of President Thabo Mbeki, a new party, COPE, the Congress of the People, formed. This breakaway's bid in the elections fits between the ANC and the Democratic Alliance, a predominantly white party. Though it is anticipated that the new party won support, the ANC is still expected to have 60% of the vote. COPE and the DA are still too weak to battle Jacob Zuma and his bully boys, such as Julius Malema, one of the party's young leaders, often compared to Nelson Mandela. These are the ones who do the dirty work. Malema said last summer that he is prepared to take up arms and kill for Zuma. And in fact, in this highly contested election with the state of South Africa on the brink of instability, election violence has plagued the nation. Now it's a question of how will a new, uneducated president with 6 wives and some controversial notes on his record lead the continent's biggest economic contributor and most powerful democracy. Zuma says that he wants to investigate the courts that led the charges against him, saying, "I don't think we should have people who are almost like a god in democracy." But many people see Zuma as exactly that, a megalomaniac, corrupt leader. Mandela announced his support at a rally on Monday with Zuma. Casting his vote yesterday, many wonder where he thinks South Africa is headed, and if he has become a symbolic supporter of the ANC, or whether perhaps even Madiba has fallen prone to the corruption that seems to have washed over the nation. And now, the answer to today's Geo quiz lies on the coast of Tanzania, right by the island of Zanzibar. Slaves from countries like Burundi, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Kenya, and Mozambique were brought here up to 150 years ago before leaving for Asia and the Middle East. The town of Bagamoyo, the answer to today's Geo quiz, still is home to the German BOA, the colonist administration building, and still has ethnic diversity from the different traders who traveled through the town. Bagamoyo is just an hour north of Tanzania's biggest city, Dar es Salaam, and is home to 30,000 residents. Tourists are attracted by the pretty beaches, old Arab homes, and now an arts college. But under the surface of Bagamoyo's pristine beaches are some hidden stories. Across Africa, kids known as street children are living on their own. Because of HIV or poverty, disease, or simply an uncomfortable situation at home, these kids leave, often in search of education or a better life. But as 8 kids in Bagamoyo can tell you, it isn't easy.
Like to sleep without eating a supper, take a supper. Or to sleep outside. Or without going to the school. And that we know that education is the key of life.
Many point to street children as the gauge for the future of Africa, the future generation being thrown to the gutter. But by some miracle, this group of 8 navigated their way through the streets of Dar es Salaam, living in bus stations and in the road, being harassed by police, even escaping children's jails. And one day, they found a willing American in Bagamoyo to sponsor them to go to school. They're all on track to become successful, good citizens of Tanzania.
Oh Nadia, oh Nadia, oh Nadia, mapenzi mapenzi jamani.
The songs that these boys sing of perseverance might not be global hits, but their stories from a place where slavery used to thrive are signs that there's hope for Tanzania. I'm Aaron Cohn from The Globe for Thursday, April 23rd.
Wakienda shule watoto wanakosa shavu, wakirudi bao wanatoka shavu.
From this time, I am William Jonas. I was broadcasting this things from 7 up to now. So I say thank you. Goodbye.